Good morning, everyone. You wake up with an unquenchable desire to break down fights. UFC Vegas 99, Michelle Pereira, Anthony Hernandez. Inside of the octagon at UFC Apex. It all goes down tonight. Welcome aboard for today's Fight Morning Breakdown show where we chat about the fights from a betting perspective. We talk about some prognostication and we get right into it. Let's talk heavyweights. Let's talk slobber knockers. Let's get down to business, my brothers. Rebellis Despain taking on Austin Lane. Austin Lane is a bit of a punching bag at this bottom of the barrel heavyweight division. When you look at the divisions with the least amount of talent, I'd gander to say the heavyweights and women's 135 pounds are the least talent rich divisions in the sport. And you look at this fight, Rebellis Despain, who was dealt a blow, a lesson in humility last time out, took a loss, a decision loss, went all 15 minutes, and he's taking on Austin Lane, who is an athletic specimen, but what does he bring to the table other than throwing heavy punches and being fleet of foot? Not much. Difficulty taking a punch, and from a betting perspective, this fight isn't supposed to hit the scorecards. Currently, fight doesn't go the distance, sitting at minus 1,400. Despain inside the distance, minus 400. Goodness gracious. The pick's going to be Despain via knockout, and I think that he gets this done in the first round. Take a look at that line. Next up, where we have some 115-pound ladies who will enter the octagon. Melissa Martinez against Alice Ardelian, a Romanian fighter, coming in at plus 125. And you look at Melissa Martinez, yes, she's come up short in the past, and she is diminutive in nature. I believe only possesses a 62-inch reach. And sometimes at this stage in the sport, the women's mixed martial arts continues to evolve, but if you show up with grit, you show up with desire, and you stick to it for 15 minutes, you can walk away victorious. And just wanting it more at this stage in the game can be the difference between winning and losing. I'm going to be picking Melissa Martinez to stay on Ardelian like white on rice, and also to be the more active fighter. And that's going to be the key here. I think she has the deeper gas tank here and should walk away victorious. But from a betting perspective, I think you've got much better spots to look forward to on this card. Let's talk next fight up, where we have Jessica Penne. Why is Jessica Penne still competing inside of the UFC's octagon in her mid-40s? And she's taking on an Elise Reed, who this is another bottom of the barrel caliber fight here. So if you did want to watch the few minutes of the Despain Lane fight, then go make yourself a nice hearty lunch and then come back for the Matsumoto Katona fight. That may be what's best for business. But Elise Reed versus Jessica Penne must be discussed here on the Fight Morning Breakdown show. We break down all the fights, and Elise Reed, she is the more spry fighter. She's the fighter who has the deeper gas tank. Penne, yes, has the wrestling, and she comes from the better camp here. She is a grizzled veteran. We saw against Lupita Godinez. She hung in that fight. But here, I think the end of the road is here for Jessica Penne. She's fought a valiant career. She's been in there against some tough opponents, and Elise Reed is going to be the pick, even though from a talent perspective, we are scraping the bottom of the barrel. I wonder, we've got UFC 308 coming up in the near future. By the way, Big Pretty sends her regards. Look at Big Pretty's grill there. She is resting sleeping in the other room right now. So give me Elise Reed in that matchup. Now, Jocelyn Edwards, Tamaris Vidal. Jocelyn Edwards misses weight. Looks like she could be competing at lightweight. I got to be honest. She cuts a tremendous amount of weight, but this is the third time that Jocelyn Edwards has missed weight. And she's taking on a Tamaris Vidal who can crack. Vidal looks like she could if she was more disciplined, if she had a legitimate nutrition plan. It looked like she could get down to about 125 pounds, but no, the adipose tissue is flowing, and Vidal is sitting at this bantamweight women's fight, and I have to be honest with myself here. I believe that the weight is going to be a factor in this matchup. Edwards, she has more skills. Yes, she's also undisciplined. I would not touch this fight from a money line perspective, but the pick is going to be Jocelyn Edwards. It pains me to break down this fight. Edwards is going to be the pick. Now, before we get to the Katona Matsumoto fight, I want to acknowledge some of those who have made their way into the chat on this festive fight morning. Thank you. Ben, good to see you this morning. Grateful, dude. Another day of fights. We're here, and we're going to get to a few exciting fights in mere moments. Chronic, welcome aboard. Oh, there I am. Good morning, Michael. Great to have you on board myself. And Chris, you missed the morning breakdowns, but you are here right now, and that is where it is at. So let's talk Brad Katona, who's won the Ultimate Fighter on multiple occasions, and also he possesses a very short reach, and he is a fighter who is very well-rounded, and Matsumoto is a bit of a juggernaut out there, dynamic fighter who is going to engage in fiery exchanges, is the more powerful striker. I worry about Matsumoto potentially gassing himself out in this spot, but there's a big discrepancy in power here, and Matsumoto, of Brazilian and Japanese heritage, is going to be the pick here. I am hesitant to play this fight from a betting perspective because we've seen the longer the fight goes, Katona is live and could hang around here for a while. So Matsumoto, if he starts stepping on the gas early and takes Katona out of there, that's the path to victory here. I'll be picking Matsumoto in that matchup. Now, we've got flyweights here. We've got Asu Almabayev taking on Mateus Nicolau in a scrap where Nicolau, we've seen the lights can get flipped off multiple times in his career. He's got chin issues. We talk about Matt Schnell's had chin issues. Mateus Nicolau has chin issues. The challenge here, Almabayev doesn't necessarily pose a significant knockout threat here. I don't think he's going to land the kill shot on Nicolau. So then how does he win this fight? He wins this fight via a grappling heavy approach. We've seen Almabayev come through against lower level competition. You look at Nicolau's level of competition, who he's faced, and there's a major discrepancy here in level of talent faced. I know Almabayev has a great record, but this is a real test for him. And Nicolau is a sniper by trade. He is a Nova União fighter who is coached up well, but his chin has given out on him multiple times. I think he's going to be in this fight. I know it's inside of the smaller octagon, but that I believe is going to favor Nicolau because Almabayev, the longer this fight goes, he's not going to have much room to evade. And Nicolau, I see trying to land the counter strikes like he typically does. I'm going to be picking the underdog, Nicolau, to walk away victorious here. And yes, there is a path to victory for Almabayev here. It's a grappling heavy approach. And if he sticks to Nicolau, that's how he gets this done. But though Nicolau has some slick jiu-jitsu of his own, So interesting matchup. I'm going to be picking the underdog in that matchup. Now, this is the fight that I am most excited about. I want to ask you, who is going to be the referee for this matchup? Darren Elkins versus Daniel Pineda. I think that if Pineda comes out here and he starts finding the target, it could be like shooting fish in a barrel for Daniel Pineda against Darren Elkins. Who is going to referee this fight? Is he going to step in and wave the fight off because he's seen Elkins take too much damage? Or is he going to let Elkins be a warrior and fight his way back into this battle? That is a difference maker for me. I also wonder who the fight doctor is going to be here, because if he gets called into the octagon, there is a chance where scar tissue could end up causing the end of this fight. Both of these fighters could potentially be split open. I'm gonna bet the over under on blood hitting the octagon canvas or a fighter getting split open within the first 5 minutes of the fight. I think that there's a very high likelihood of that happening. I'm going to say about 70% implied probability. I think that's a fair line. I think that's what's likely going to happen here. Elkins bloodied, battered. He's going to be licking his chops, looking to engage, and that's where he turns up. And that's where he takes over this fight the longer this goes. If he doesn't get stopped, if the doctor or the referee don't stop this fight, I think that Elkins is going to come alive. And the longer this fight goes, I know Pineda has a slick guillotine, but look at Elkins welcomes the guillotine. He will spin out of these guillotines. He will not tap. He's in these fights. And I remember, man, Elkins has fought some serious grapplers throughout his career. I remember fights against Bermudez and many, many others. I'll be picking Elkins to win this fight. The question is, does he get stopped early? Because that's how he loses this fight. But give me Darren Elkins in that matchup. I'm licking my chops for that fight. I cannot wait. For Elkins versus Pineda. Oh, my goodness gracious. Jake Hadley versus Cameron Smotherman. Now, we've seen Jake Hadley turn the corner in his career, win a short notice fight against Lachlan. And in this matchup, he comes in. This fight's at bantamweight. I like that he's fighting at bantamweight. I think that is his weight class from here on out. He has a lot of trouble making 125 pounds, and Smotherman takes this fight on short notice. I like the piston left hand of Hadley. I like the jiu-jitsu of Hadley. I think that he's going to get this done inside the distance, and Hadley's going to be the fight to win. The loss that Smotherman had on the Contender Series cause for concern against low-level competition. And this is a get-right spot for him here. Prove me wrong. First impressions were not good from my perspective on Smotherman. Give me Hadley to win inside the distance. Now, let's talk Charles Johnson versus Sue Mudaerji. Sue Mudaerji coming in as a significant underdog at plus 205. And he's taking on Charles Johnson, who we know, we've got energy. He's got the gas tank. He can push a pace. He's got a great team behind him. But he's not a great striker, not a great wrestler, and he stays in fights. Mudaerji, excellent striker, range striker. Grappling is almost non-existent. I was at Mudaerji's fight against Matt Schnell. He hurt Matt Schnell 5, 6, 7 times. That fight could have been stopped depending on who the referee was. Also, Mudaerji took that fight with a torn ACL. Then he goes on to lose a fight against Elliott. This is a fighter who will go out on his shield. He will take risks, and I suspect he's going to take risks here against Charles Johnson early and often. And I see Mudaerji finding the target on Johnson. It's just a matter of, can he get Johnson out of there? And this might come as a shock to some, but I'm going to be picking Sue Mudaerji to win this fight against Charles Johnson today. I think there's a huge discrepancy when it comes to striking acumen here. And I know that Johnson has the better wrestling and the ground game and can potentially sub Mudaerji. Mudaerji's been subbed many, many times. That's typically how he loses fights. But I see this as an advantageous matchup for Muderji, especially when it comes to finding the target on the feet. He's a long fighter, and this is make or break it for Muderji here. I think that he's going to come in and shock a lot of people. This is a flyweight fight, and I am pumped for this one. I think that I have a pretty good read on this fight. So give me Sue Muderji to defeat Charles Johnson. Now, let's talk Kyler Phillips versus Rob Font. This is a very disrespectful line for Rob Font here at plus 475, and he's taking on a Kyler Phillips who, yes, has wins over Song Yadong and others, but Phillips, he's taken so much less damage, and he's not as shop-worn as Rob Font. And I understand that Phillips is a favorite, but I would say minus 250, minus 275, not minus 650. That is outrageous. Phillips, he can push a pace, but if Font somehow, some way is able to get his jab going, that is a real problem for anybody in this division. It should be a fascinating fight. I'll be picking Phillips. I think that this line is very disrespectful, though, to Rob Font. Rob Font is a solid bantamweight, even at this stage in his career. So give me Phillips to win. It's just a matter of get it done via decision or finish. I could see, you know what? That Font, the look that he showed me versus Corey Sandhagen was a bit disturbing. I'm going to be picking. I'll pick Phillips to win. I think that he has the potential to win this via submission. And give me Phillips to win via submission. Now, main event of the evening, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez taking on Michel Pereira. How the hell was Michel Pereira making welterweight? That is one of the questions I have for Michel Pereira. Massive weight cuts. I remember playing Michel Pereira against Diego Sanchez, and he plays with his food, completely outmatches opponents, but lets them hang in the fight. We saw that Tristan Connolly fight. I wonder how many times he's relived that fight in his dreams. He's far and away the better fighter, but he can slip up in fights. We've seen the gas tank go on him. Now this fight's up at 185 pounds. He's taking on Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Fluffy, if he's going to lose a fight, it's early. We've seen people can get to him. Kevin Holland and others, Iron Turtle, I believe, and there have been others who have caused problems for Fluffy Hernandez in the past. But Hernandez, great gas tank. We've seen it against others that if he's able to win the war of attrition, even make it to the second round, the Kopylov fight, we've seen he pours it on. It's just a matter of there are a few live betting opportunities here. The Elkins Pineda fight, this fight, Fluffy Hernandez versus Michel Pereira. If this fight gets out of the first round, I would be hammering Fluffy Hernandez in this spot. I think that it may only take a few minutes. He's a underrated fighter at this weight class, and you put Fluffy in there against a number of high caliber middleweights, and I believe he walks away victorious. And the challenge here, though, is Michel Pereira. It's so hard to train for him because he's so unpredictable and he's so explosive. Michel Pereira, solid jiu-jitsu, gets in, gets out. You see the capoeira mixed into his arsenal. And yes, he has a real shot at winning this fight, Pereira. Closely aligned fight, but he's going to have to get it done early. This fight's scheduled for 5 rounds. Last time I checked, the fight doesn't go the distance. Line was sitting at minus 700. I'm going to be picking Anthony Fluffy Hernandez to win this fight, to win it inside the distance. He could potentially win via ground and pound late or lock up a submission. But Fluffy, look at Fluffy inside the distance. And also live betting Fluffy Hernandez after the first round. I don't see Pereira having the gas tank to go 3 rounds, 4 rounds, or 5 rounds with Fluffy Hernandez. Great fight. Great night of fights. And if you have any questions in the comment section, please pop on in there. Chris, thank you. Go get what's yours, my brother. Pineda for all the units. Wow, that's an interesting perspective, Chris. So this is the thing. If Pineda steps on the gas pedal early, that's the way he disposes of Elkins. You cannot let him off the hook. You could even disengage, back away, and just start firing away, because the equilibrium is going to be off for Elkins. He's coming off of, I believe, knee surgery, and I suspect there'll be lots of ring rust for Elkins. He's going to have to start bleeding, get cracked, and then find his way onto the mat to be successful in that matchup. So thanks everybody for tuning in. We're at 20 minutes. We broke down all of the fights on the card. Remember to go get what's yours and dominate your Saturday. Let's go, my brothers. Thank you so much. Thank you.